Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Neeru Tandon, Department of English, VSSG College, Kanpur. We are doing paper 13, Linguistics. In it, this module number 5, Basic Concepts of Linguistics, has been written by Mr. Tariq Khan of CIIL, Mysore. In this paper, the key concepts of linguistics have been dealt with in a very easy way. Students will come to know about all the major concepts of linguistics and how to deal with it and how to understand linguistics in a better way will be told to them through this module. It presents the basic concepts, and the concepts featuring here are integral to the study of linguistics because they frequently occur in theoretical and applied areas of linguistics. They are important to understanding the intricacies of human language. For the purpose of systematicity, the module presents the concepts according to the relevance to various subdomains of linguistics. References, various e-modules, dictionaries, glossaries, video lectures available on internet would be a helpful supplement for the students going through this module. Those things are there in the part of reference. Now let us start with what is language, because when we say basic concepts of linguistics, then what is linguistics? We know linguistics is the systematic study of language. Language is an endowment that is unique to human beings. Animals, birds and other creatures, they may communicate, but they do not have a language like humans, where you can convey not only by speaking but by writing and other means too. Hockett in 1960 presented a host of features called the design features that separate human language from animal language. For communication, human being not only uses language as a spoken part, they also use language through symbols as a written part. They also use language for their non-verbal communication, because when a speaker speaks non-verbally, but the listener decodes it in a particular language. Language is combinational and rule based, whereas the sounds made by animals and birds are merely holistic experiences and expressions communicating feelings of joy or despair. Language can be spoken or written or signed, as we have already discussed. Language is a medium of communication, we all know that. But since one of the most important roles played by language is communication, traditionally the scholars have treated language only as a medium of communication, or you can say mainly as the medium of communication. Language also serves as a medium of cognition by shaping the ideas about the word and enable the expression thereof. In some functional perspectives, the term language may refer to anything from code, dialect, variety, pidgin, creole, etc. And in formal perspective, language is a set of all and only grammatical sentences. So what we just say, that grammar should be there, and when it is woven practically into proper sentences according to the requirement of that particular language, then it takes its shape. Linguistics has attracted the scholars and language enthusiasts across times and cultures. Needless to say, it is highly interdisciplinary and it has several subfields focusing on different aspects of speech and interaction. Linguistics, when you just talk about its core or theoretical portion, we talk about phonetics and phonology, we talk about morphology and syntax, we also talk about semantics and pragmatics, and that makes it complete. On the other hand, when we talk about hybrid or applied aspect of the linguistics, we are supposed to deal with psycholinguistics and sociolinguistics, language teaching, computational linguistics, anthropological linguistics, etc. So when we talk about the title of this module, that says Basic Concepts of Linguistics. Now, what are the basic concepts of linguistics? It is general and applied linguistics. Now, you can just say that for the purpose of convenience, you can divide them into 4 major areas. First is general and applied linguistics, then phonetics and phonology, then morphology and syntax, and finally semantics and pragmatics. But in these 4 areas, there are various sub areas as well. So, as the first area is concerned, that is general and applied linguistics, we have language, linguistics, communication, consequences, performance, competence, LSRW, vocabulary, forms, functions, writing systems, then speech community, etc. In the same way, in the second group of phonetics and phonology, we have various other things like phonemes, syllable, then phonological process, IPA, those symbols of sounds we have through IPA, then transcription also, that also comes in this part, and many more. In the third part, morphology and syntax, we have morpheme, we have word group, word formation, then sentences group, types of sentences, and the complete grammar of that particular language comes under this third category. Finally, semantics and pragmatics, they deal with the meaning, they deal with the context, they deal with the sense being conveyed by that language, by those words. It deals with the discourse, because when you give meaning to certain sentences, then only it becomes text and it becomes part of discourse. So, those semantics and other things which can convey meaning come under this fourth group. Now, when we say that language is for communication, so communication is a part of language that is being conveyed. Now, attached with it, there is the object of inquiry in linguistics. According to Ferdinand de Saussure, considered as father of linguistics, it is languor and not parole. According to Noam Chomsky, it is competence and not performance. Chomsky further divided it into I language and E language and gave preference to I language in comparison with E language. Whenever we deal about language and particularly English language, the basic concept, the very first thing that everybody must understand is LSRW. LSRW, better known as language skills and vocabulary, because without vocabulary you cannot do justice with your expression. If you don't have words to express yourself, you don't have command over language, because if you don't have word, how will you express what you want to say? So LSRW and vocabulary both are very, very important. And as you must be aware of these abbreviations, like language, L stands for listening, S stands for speaking, R for reading and W for writing. So of these, listening and reading are comprehension skills. You listen, you read, you get to understand something or the other. So you have comprehended well. But when it comes to production, then we use the other two skills known as writing and speaking. Then you convey, then you communicate properly. So vocabulary refers to the knowledge of words and their proper usage. The term communication, it can refer to a number of entities. In the present context, communication is the act of transferring message from one end to another. Communication can be verbal, it can be non-verbal too, or it may be a mix of both. Mostly what happens when we just convey through words, automatically some non-verbal actions take place. So we are just used of doing that. Conversation, speech, debate, discussions are all acts of communication. Communication can take place at the following levels. Intrapersonal communication, that takes place within an individual. I am talking to myself, monologue. Interpersonal, it takes place between individuals. I am talking to you, you are listening to me, but you are not talking to me right now. So when I talk to someone, it means both of us are communicating with each other, that is interpersonal. And finally, mass communication. It takes place among large population, the way I am doing today. Now, interpersonal and intrapersonal, how are they connected? How are they connected with the study of the language known as linguistics? That is to be taken care of. Then there comes various other branches, that is basically psycholinguistics. It is a hybrid subfield of linguistics that concerns theories of language, language acquisition. Acquisition means how language develops in human, how they acquire it, how humans learn particular language and not the other language. Then language processing, how humans identify and respond to speech signals. Then language loss, how and why language does not develop in some humans. How some humans lose the language they had learned. Suppose my students, I have taught him how to speak English. He didn't practice, he didn't just came in contact with others with whom he could speak, and he was using other language to communicate. After a period of time, he'll forget that. So how it happens? Then language therapy. What practices can help in recovering the language lost in an individual? These are all concerned with the basic concepts of language and basic concepts of linguistics. Now I will also like to discuss three words with you, that is lect, dialect and variety. These terms are very much related with the language. Whenever we examine or evaluate any language, we will have to use these terms. Lect is particular form of dialogue. The term is applicable when it is not clear whether something is an independent language or a variety of it. Idiolect, another word related with this, I-D-I-O-L-E-C-T. Idiolect is the language use that is typical of an individual. It exhibits distinct and unique usage at the level pronunciation, vocabulary choice and sentence formations. Sociolect, that is the combination of society and the dialect, and it is known as social dialect or sociolect. It is the language use that exhibits the social background and characteristics of the speakers. These speakers may belong to a particular social group, including caste, class, ethnicity, etc. Arguably, it is possible to find different societies and different sociolects within the same geographical boundary. The term dialect refers to a kind of speech that is typical of a geographical region. For some scholars, the terms dialect and language are just conterminous, and the distinction between them is superficial. Many scholars make a distinction between language and dialect and admit that the dialects of a language are mutually intelligible. However, it is important to note that a dialect is not inferior to a language in any way, and the distinction is more political than linguistic. In this connection, the term variety is neutral. The study of regional dialects is called dialectology. Now, when we just study these language, dialect and variety, we find the role of native speakers. They have intuition about the normative, grammatical and acceptable form of speech. Once a native speaker, always a native speaker. They cannot come out of their particular accent. They cannot come out of that native feel which they get from that language. And that's why mother tongue, or the L1 that we call it, its influence, it's very difficult to come out of that. It can be either one language or a mixture of various languages, or a mixture of dialects also. So it is just native speaker when he wants to speak English like Englishman, and he wants to have a neutral accent, it becomes very, very difficult for him to adapt that. Here comes the role of language policy. The decision involving language use for interpersonal and mass communication is to be taken care of. An umbrella term for all kinds of language behavior, including writing, and it exists at the individual level as well as at the level of the state. Now, who makes the policy, the language policy? Like, for example, when we say this language is the native language of this particular place, this language is the official language of this state. So that is decided by language policy made by state or the government. The objective of a language policy is to maintain a language, elevate its status, increase its use and widen its domain. It provides significant clues about the socio-political aspects and speakers' strength of a speech community. After policy, there comes language planning. Now you have made a policy, but how to implement that? For that you need planning. Language planning involves decisions regarding the choice of language for official communication and medium of instructions at schools. Language planning may influence the way languages are put to use. Spelling standardization, grammar reform, choice of words, choice of phrases for formal ceremonies are results of language planning. That whenever we are in a conference, our language will be different. We are in a classroom, our language will be different. But when I'm talking to my maid or I'm talking to a commoner, the language will be different. Person is same, his knowledge is same, but the dialect will vary, the choice of words will change. So that is known as code switching also. Many speech communities constitute formal agencies or official bodies to oversee language policy and planning. Deliberate initiatives that may influence the structure, function and acquisition of languages within a speech community. There are various dimensions of language planning. It is status planning, it is corpus planning, it is acquisition planning. When we say status planning, we talk about selection of a variety for official communication. That there is a particular format, how in which format we will write application, we will write official letters, how we will write email. There is a particular set of standards for that. So that comes under dimension of language planning. Then decision on writing systems corresponding to speech, that it should be intelligible to others, that the communication should be proper, and allocation and reallocation of functional domains to varieties. Then there comes the role of corpus planning. It is to create standards for a language, including spelling and grammar. For example, a very common example, I have a spelling COLOR, color. I also have a spelling COLOUR, color. One is a British variant and the other is the American one. Which one to use where? Which one is acceptable? Which one is not? These areas come under corpus planning. Then we have prescriptive interventions and undertaken by individual with expertise in language. Acquisition planning relates to language pedagogy. It involves initiatives towards making teaching learning more interesting and impactful. It is associated with both governmental and non-governmental bodies. When we talk about basic concepts or key concepts of linguistics, we must deal with phonetics, that is concerned with the speech sounds. Articulatory phonetics, auditory phonetics and acoustic phonetics. These are the three major types of phonetics. Articulatory phonetics is concerned with the production of speech sounds. Auditory phonetics, it concerns the perception of speech, how I will decode it. Then acoustic phonetics concerns the physical property of the speech sounds. Now what is speech sounds? Again and again we are using the term speech sounds. What is it? Speech sound, the individual speech sounds or phones are important in the study of phonetics. The speech sounds can be classified in the following ways. It is oral or nasal. It is ingressive or aggressive. It is vowels or consonants. The analysis of vowels depend on height of tongue, position of the tongue, lip rounding and length of the vowel. If I say A, then my movement is different. A. Then I say E. E. I am not moving my tongue. I say O. This is the lip rounding I am doing. So through all these things we just divide and understand the vowel sound in a better way. We will just discuss in next module about these vowel sounds. Then analysis of consonants depends on place of articulation, manner of articulation and voicing. I'll make it more clear. Now, one consonant can be pronounced in a variety of way. How? If I say city, in this I am saying C-I-T-Y. This C is being pronounced as S, city. But when the same C is there in cat, C-A-T, I am not pronouncing it as S, rather I am pronouncing it as K. It is cat. Why it is so? That is the matter of study for a linguist. He explains this. Suppose I say knee. When I am saying K-N-E-E, knee, this K is silent. Why it is so? I am saying knife, night. When it is N-I-G-S-T, it is night. But when it is K-N-I-G-S-T, it is still night. So it becomes clear, a linguist will tell you that whenever K and N are together and K is being followed by N, K remains silent. So that is just one example that how a consonant will produce a sound will depend on variety of things. Now we talk about articulators. They are active or passive. When we talk about active articulators, we talk about tongue or lips. The sounds produced by tongue or by lips. When we talk about passive, then that is with the help of the hard palate. Air-stream mechanism, the third part, is related to pulmonic when it relates to lungs. It is glottalic when it related to pharynx, and it is velaric when it is related to velum. So our parts of body are dependent upon this thing that how the sound will be produced. Syllable. Another basic concept of linguistics that let us divide various components and discuss. The smallest one is syllable. It is the basic unit of perception. It is characterized by the presence of a vowel sound, and it can be as small as a single sound such as A and I, or as big as 5 sounds together such as next, that is also one syllable. May have the following structure: an optional onset and a mandatory rhyme having a nucleus and an optional coda. In the word cloud, cloud, C-L-O-U-D, we say effect of KL, cloud, act as onset O, cloud, O. It acts as nucleus and D acts as coda. CV formula or CV skeleton, that is the sequence of consonant and vowels, is useful in this analysis. Phonological processes. After understanding what the syllable is, you must understand the phonological processes. Assimilation refers to the process by which a sound becomes more like an adjacent sound. Dissimilation refers to the process in which two close or adjacent sounds become less similar. Insertion refers to gain of a sound in the surface form, though it did not exist in the underlying form. Deletion refers to loss of an underlying form in the surface form. Metathesis occurs when there is a change in the order of sounds. Strengthening or fortition refers to the process by which a sound becomes stronger by gaining a feature. And weakening or lenition refers to the process by which a sound becomes weaker by losing a feature. These are all known as phonological. Then we have transliteration. Transliteration is the method of mapping from one system of writing to another. Based on phonetic similarity, transliteration representing a text may be spoken, may be written in a script or in a writing system. It can happen word to word or sound to sound or letter to letter. Other than transliteration, we also have transcription. Transcription is the representation of speech sounds using phonetic symbols. Difference: transliteration differs from transcription because it maps the sounds of one language to the letter combination of the script of another language. You must have heard many times IPA. What is IPA? What it does? So this is the abbreviation and it refers to International Phonetics Association and also to International Phonetics Alphabet. The International Phonetic Association was formed in 1886 by a group of language teachers in France who also started a periodical related with that, and it was printed its content entirely in phonetic transcription or not in that particular proper language. The International Phonetic Alphabet is a standardized set of symbols for analyzing human language. We have morpheme. Morpheme is of two kinds. It is free also and it is bound also. When we talk about free morpheme, it is either lexical or functional. Like lexical means, for example, pen, tea, play. But when it is functional, we say off, on, and an. It means it needs some more words to express the meaning. Then we just talk about bound morpheme, inflectional and derivational. Inflectional we have like go, goes, what we added es, or set, sets, we just added s. Then different other like ed also is there to be added in the inflectional morpheme. Then derivational we have ity or ness, calm, calmness. In the same way, this leads to word formation. Now, word formation process, it deals with conversion as in the words like Google or WhatsApp. Derivation as singer, that is derived from the word sing. We have added er, sing, singer. Compounding as in school, bus, table, fan, lamp, post. Then abbreviations like WHO, ILO, MOU. MOU stands for Memorandum of Understanding. Initialism is also there as in ad and doc, referring to ad, we all know, advertisements, and doc easily refers to doctor. Blending as in brunch, cyborg, and bromance. Back formation as in the word act, that has come from actor. Coinage or invention of new words as in Xerox. Borrowing or loan words like kindergarten. After words, we come to sentences. Sentences are also of various types and they have got different functions. Sentence may be declarative, it may be imperative, it may be interrogative, it may be exclamatory. We know their uses very well. Let us discuss the structure that again has been divided into simple sentence, complex sentence, compound sentence, and compound complex sentence. You know simple, you know complex, you know compound, but what is compound complex? A compound complex sentence has a minimum of 2 independent clauses and 1 dependent clause. For example, consider the sentence, although I like to play cricket, I have not had enough time to play it recently and there is hardly anyone to accompany me in this game. So, I expressed myself with the help of the compound complex sentence. Now, what is the grammar being used to analyze and to differentiate which one is simple, which one is complex, which one is compound? The set of rules or formal models or descriptions that help in identifying and analyzing the sound patterns, word parts, and sentence structures together is known as grammar. Grammar is very fundamental aspect of human language. It exists in the mind of the speakers who can notice even minor deviations in the use of the language. If I say he do, what will happen? You will just understand, oh, it's wrong. It should be he does. So that is just decoder can decode it in a second that there is some mistake, and that will be considered as mistake. So it exists even if there is no written or printed book illustrating the rules and usage of the language. And the grammar, it can be prescriptive and it can be descriptive. We also talk about sense or the lexical relations to understand this concept properly. Now, synonymy shows the relationship of sameness or similarity of meaning, as in big and large. We have both convey almost the same meaning, but their usage may be different according to the context. Antonym shows the relationship of oppositeness of meaning, as in day and night. Day is the opposite of night. When there is day, there is no night. When there is night, there is no day. So they are opposite. Polysemy signifies the relationship of multiple related meaning of a word, as in house and home. They are two different words, but they express the same symbol, same meaning. Homonymy, it refers to the multiple unrelated meanings of a word. For example, consider the word bank. It may refer to the monetary institution as well as the water body. Meronymy. The term meronymy signifies the part-whole relationship between concepts. For example, the concepts finger and hand share the relationship of meronymy. In this case, finger is a meronym of hand and hand is the holonym of finger. It is important to note that finger is part of the hand, not a type of hand. Thus, we can say that basic concepts of linguistics are vital to understand before going deeper into language, before going just into the nitty-gritties of linguistics, before understanding the varieties, the types of linguistics. So first understand these basic concepts in the proper way and then try to understand linguistics deeply. Thank you for visiting EPG Pathshala.